All right, everybody, want to take a second to talk to you about an amazing sponsor. We have an amazing relationship with RayAllen.com. Ray Allen is a one-stop shop for everything dog, not just working dogs. Everything dog that you need, you can go down there, check them out, RayAllen.com. Awesome people. They got everything you need.
Another one of our favorite partnerships is with a dog trainer. They've been with us from the start. Great collars, great ball poppers, great GPS tracking, big dog, small dog, bark collars, everything. I got everything like that they have at the kennel. We use it every day. Be sure to head them up, dogtrainer.com. Listen for the discount code later in the episode.
HITS 2023 is being held in Scottsdale, Arizona. I hear they have at the hotel, they have like this super high-end shopping outside, and I think you can go surfing in the desert, which I'm super looking forward to. Anyway, Scottsdale, Arizona, August 15th to the 18th. So hurry up and register now to save a spot and make sure you get a room.
Take the guesswork out of making sure you're feeding your working dog correctly by using Kinetic Dog Food. Hit them up at kineticdogfood.com and look them up on the Instagrams at Kinetic Dog Food. Take all the guesswork out and do it right from the beginning.
We love Horizon Structures. Dude, this stuff is so awesome, man. You can get online. You can talk to them. You could build it you want from mild to wild. They'll come bring it to your place, set it down on your pad, hook up your power, hook up your water, and you can put dogs in it that day. If you don't believe me, check out some guys like Justin Rigney's got a great setup there. Ask him. Check him out, horizonstructures.com. All right, everybody, we are back, Working Dog Radio, broadcasting the bite from downtown Pittsburgh at the Hold the Line conference. Another episode coming from there. As always, of course, my name is Eric Stambro, and with me is Ted Summers. Ted, how's it been going?
Man, it's been going great. There's a lot of people. Like you mentioned, we interviewed Nesbitt a while ago, and the class attendance been pretty good, right? Like we've had like lots of people in there, and it's been I've been pretty impressed like with the prizes. The food's been good. There's been free beer every night, so
I think he went through like 4 kegs the first night. A few last night. He's getting some for tonight. They're doing a little bit different this year. They're doing an event tonight where typically they would be closing down and people would be leaving. And that's happening. Some people are going to leave, but there's some people who stayed to leave on Friday. So that could be a shit show. So because nobody's got to get up in the morning. Unless they're flying, but nobody's got to.
Our guest flies out at 5 a.m. Yeah. So speaking of our guest, John Abousleiman, I'm sitting here looking at it, and he and I have interacted on Instagram and Facebook for years and stuff. He works for Alabama Canine down in obviously Alabama. So and he's did 2 classes this week. Yep. You did the basic muzzle course, and then you're doing the advanced muzzle work. So go ahead and give us a little bit of your background. How you ended up here and at Alabama Canine, what led all that stuff, and then we'll go right into the classes.
Yeah, sure. Started dog training about 11, 12 years ago. Went to school. I went to the Tom Rose School. From there, just worked with a bunch of different people. Ended up in Texas right after school, and I worked with hunting dogs for a while. Then moved on to pet dogs and sport dogs and all that stuff. And then about 4 years ago now, got the opportunity to move down to Alabama and just specifically, exclusively work with police dogs. And I jumped on that opportunity and been doing that ever since. We just mainly focus on training handlers, training dogs, and putting them out the street and making sure they're safe and do their job.
Yeah, so yesterday you did the basic muzzle course, and then this morning you did the advanced. So give me like a little basic what that was about, and then we'll move right into.
Sure. We start off by going over just muzzle, just conditioning, the different types of muzzles that we like using, or the one muzzle we like using. Usually we use the 𝗙 just because they're breathable, they're adjustable, and just down in Alabama in that heat.
Yeah.
The dogs have an ability to drink water and get good air out of those muzzles. So we go over just different ways to condition the dog, depending on how much time and patience and experience you have. Training, you just stick the dog's head in there, put a hot dog in there, get the dog used to putting his head in there, or just marker training. Just get the dog to marker train, just click whenever he puts his nose in there. And that takes a little bit of time, but it's the best results. It just really depends on experience on the part of the handler.
But what it's not is a fight.
Yeah, that is 100% truth. 100% truth. Actually, talk about fight. I recently, just a couple weeks ago, I had a dog, extreme prey drive. This dog will grab anything out of your hands. So the first time I tried to put a muzzle on him, grabbed the muzzle and would not let it go. So I had to teach him an out first. And then I taught him how to put a muzzle on. And he's actually a great dog now, but he's one of those dogs where you're like, I'll remember you for the rest of my life.
Yeah, grabbing everything it's mine is mine and what's yours is mine.
Yeah, basically.
Malinois.
Luckily, he wasn't the type of dog that would just grab your hand too. He was just fixated on whatever you got in your hand. So that made it okay. So we go over the just conditioning, genetics, the difference between prey, defensive, and fight drives. Just what you want your dog to look work in when you're working with muzzle stuff. Agitation, just how important it is for an agitator to be good and experienced when it comes to muzzle fighting. An agitator can make or break a dog.
Yep.
There's no way around it. A good agitator will make your dog great, and a bad agitator will just...
And muzzle work is the hardest work as a decoy.
Yes.
Hands down.
Absolutely. You have no help. Like the bite suit usually helps an agitator. You know, the dog sees it and he's like, oh, big pillow.
Right.
And goes after it. And
well, and then there's the whole issue too. I mean, because I'm sure you sat through Carlos and Nesbitt's deal, right? And Carlos and Nesbitt are fantastic decoys, right? So when we teach decoys, like how to decoy, right? We're teaching them how to mark. Like we teach that nice punch, we teach that nice first firm full grip, we teach all those things, and it's all revolving around the dog doing something to get the reaction out of the decoy.
Yeah.
And now we don't have that when we put a muzzle on. So now it becomes this entire like, what behaviors do we want? How do we mark them? And what does that look like for the dog? And what's the end result going to be? Which is the advanced portion for you guys. So
yeah, well, the advanced portion, like the advanced class I went over, is more like scenario and picture based training. So it's a little bit advanced. It's not like getting the dog to go from biting a bite suit to muzzle fighting. But talking about agitation is just the agitator has to be quick on his feet. He has to read the dog as it's happening. He has to react to the dog. You could see peaks and dips in the dog's drives, and you have to react to him on the spot. It's just that's why muzzle fighting is kind of difficult for new agitators and decoys, and people that can't really read the dog's psychology and body language and all that as it's happening. So I go over that in the basic course, and then the safety, agitator or keeping your hands closed and out of the dog's muzzle. And
I don't know what it is about new decoys. Like it's like
it's
like the red button, right? Like don't push the red button. And they're like, "Oh, my brow is sweating. I'm gonna pull this off. I'm gonna get fucking bit."
It'll be amazing how many times I've had new agitators just barely, get grazed by that dog's teeth, and I'm like, didn't I tell you to keep your fists closed? Why do you have your fingers in the dog's muzzle? It's just the way it is.
When we put this episode up, I need to I'll remind Logan to put a picture of an oh shit. I call it the oh shit strap that goes on the muzzle, like at the top of the eye line, and I use a tiny locking carabiner that goes onto a flat collar, so we can't pull the fucking muzzle off.
The other thing new agitators do too is they ball up and cover their head, and then the dog starts learning to punch in the head. And I'm like, just don't do that. We're not teaching that.
I don't know what it is. Some dogs love the feet. Some dogs love the head. I don't know what it is.
This just look like fucking doing the Mexican hat dance. Guys chasing your feet around and you're bouncing around. They're like, ah! So
if you have so we're moving into advanced, and we're going to do say a building search scenario, and you don't have the super most experienced guy, and you're teaching people. What do you tell that guy who's going to be the agitator in the room? The dog's going to come in, do this.
I usually, if the dog's experienced enough, I hope that I have a dog that's experienced enough when I'm putting him against a non-experienced agitator. I tell all my students this. I'm like, when I send this dog on you, make me believe he's really biting you. Obviously, if he's biting you for real, tell me live bite. I'll end it there. But if you make me believe that the dog is really biting you and he's hurting you, I'll go in there and I'll be more likely to end that scenario quicker than if you're just going, oh, ow, that hurt. Oh, ow, that hurt. So as long as their acting ability is there, and just move away from the dog. The dog hits you, you just move. Just keep giving to the dog. I don't care if you hit the dog. I don't care if you flank the dog. Right now, for your experience level, just move away. The dog hits you and you just move away from the dog. Get on the ground a little bit, get back up. You could try smacking him on the side if the dog's having a hard time keeping engaged with you because you're just acting like a floppy fish. But that's basically, if the agitator is not experienced, I just try to make it as experienced dog and just as little for the agitator to do as possible. Just be safe. Don't hurt the dog. Right. Don't get yourself bit. All that.
One of the things that I like to remind new decoys too, in muzzle work, and Eric hit on it just a minute ago, but targeting is still really important here as well. And I tell my new guys, or even my current decoys or my trainers, I'm like, I make sure we're giving them an applicable target, and don't try and fucking catch them. Like, don't don't put you can't see me out right now, but don't put your fucking hands together in front of your chest. And so like, you still have to confirm good targeting, and especially if you're rolling around, because that's like Eric said, they start getting you in the fucking head, and you start doing the log roll, and they start pushing you around, and
now we have video of your dog biting in the head.
Well, a lot of times you also see agitators just stick their arm out like they're catching on a sleeve.
Yep.
And that's not really what you want. You don't want the dog to look for that arm when he's running after someone and he sees them and just pulls that arm out of the dog's way. You want the dog to be more center mass. And that's just where you want the dog to fight. And if you just have a agitator just stick his arm out like that, the dog's just going to look for that all the time, when in reality he's not going to have that ability on the street. You also have a lot of agitators that push the dog away constantly, just trying to deflect the pain off of them. I tell my guys, you guys are expendable. The dog, we're trying to teach the dog here. Yeah. The dog's a heavyweight champion. You're just a sparring partner. Let him beat up on you. You could throw a few things in there, just let the dog, see you flank him, pick him up, whatever. But in the end of the day, we're just teaching the dog to beat the crap out of you. And don't push the dog away, because that's just going to make the dog get frustrated and go low, or you're going to see him give up. Yeah. The dog's just going to be like, all right, I don't know how to win. They took away my teeth. I'm stuck in this muzzle thing, and he's pushing me away the entire time. I don't know what to do. So I just tell my guys, keep the dog engaged with you and not push him away, and you should be fine.
That's one thing I was going to bring up. We see, one of the things I see guys that are doing basic scenarios or whatever is, after a period of time, the dog will go flat, kind of flatten out. Guys tend to push it too long, I think. So if listening to this right now is a training group with handlers in it, and they're like, we're going to do muzzle, and speak to the handler like, this is what you need to be watching for in ending this scenario, like right now. What are you looking for?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly true. I mean, when we start muzzle fighting, it's no longer than maybe 10 seconds per fight, and you could do it multiple times, but you got to reset. You got to get the dog understanding that he's winning. So the way we do it is we teach the dog to chase the guy away, right? So the dog's never being dragged away from the bad guy. The dog's always pushing the bad guy away. And the reason for that is just, if you think about like two wolves fighting in the wild territorially, the winner is not going to run away from the loser. It's usually the loser being chased off by the winner, and that's what we want to sort of incorporate in the dog psychology. Is you could win against this guy, and he's going to run away from you, and you're going to chase, and you're still going to have the frustration. You're going to still build that frustration in the dog, but you're not going to get the dog feeling like he's defeated by pulling him off. So so when we do the short sessions, it's always the bad guy runs away. The bad guy runs away, and the dog's being chasing the bad guy, and then the dog starts building up, and you could make it longer and longer.
That's one thing. We interviewed Todd Mona, and Eric mentioned this. You mentioned it in your presentation.
Yeah, my presentation.
And when one of Todd's deals with building searches is like you just said, like the loser has to leave, right? Yeah. So we ask the dog out off of a decoy, and then the decoy has to leave the room. And we do a similar version of Torchlight, of what you're talking about. And I leapfrog from room to room. Mm-hmm. So we do And I use opposition reflex on a long line, right? So once the dog, and he's at a super high state of drive, right? And that's when we end the exercise and let him fucking bark and chase the decoy out of the room. And then we get him back under control, make another announcement, send him across the hallway to the next room, and we just let him push the decoy through the building, out of the room, out of the room, out of the room, out of the room constantly. Yep. And you end up with some pretty intense behaviors. And like you said, you start dragging the time out. And so I tell my trainers, and I tell my handlers when we do muzzle work, I was like, our goal is intensity, a duration of intensity. Yeah. So we want a high level of intensity over a long amount of time. And the time span is relative to the age of the experience of the dog. And so, like, I got a 16-month-old dog, like 10, 15 seconds. Yeah. But some of my experienced dogs that have street bites, like when we have a training group, it's 150 degrees outside, and there's like 12 dogs and they all have like 5 and 6 bites. I'm like, you all bite. I don't worry about it. Like, we're doing muzzles today. Yep. And those dogs will fight for 35, 45 seconds a minute and just fucking knock holes in drywall. And I'm like, yeah.
And you don't see that dip in their drive because they're used to it. Yeah. Right. They're experienced and they're used to it.
It's real quick. It's funny that winner stays philosophy. I started using that in bite work for dogs that, are biting the handler on the way out and they're dragging them out. Dude, it clears all that up. I don't care if we're doing the box biting or the floor. For that dog, he wins. The decoy just goes around the corner and hides. Cap that dog a little bit, walk out, and clearing up a lot.
And it also solves a lot of problems. Like a lot of times when dogs get frustrated, they'll turn around. When you're pulling the dog away, they'll turn around and they'll fire off on the handler.
Yeah, that's
not
where
all
it happens.
dogs.
That drag off.
Yeah, so if the dog chases the bad guy, he's winning, you're behind him. And then when the dog sort of, gets to the point where you're like, okay, bud, let's go. And you just walk him off. There's less chance of the dog firing off on you. And also with the chasing out of sight is just the dog takes that mental picture of there's always someone out there for me. So you don't hurt the hunt drive. You don't hurt the dog going, well, the last time I saw this guy, he was just in this room and now he's not, and I was dragged out, right? So you just keep that picture in his mind that there's always someone out there for me.
And then we're not dealing with object permanence, right? So remove the dog, right? Kind of like a detection fine. Like we remove the dog instead of the decoy, and then we ask him to move into a different portion of the building. And he's like, no, dude, there was somebody in there.
Yep.
You're like, he's not there now. So now you've got to fiddle fuck with that. Yeah. And so, it definitely solves quite a bit of problems. So.
Yeah.
Here's a quick question for you. I don't know if you've seen this. We've seen it a few times when we have muzzle, especially on a dog that's not super doesn't have a lot of reps with it. With a female decoy, we're seeing dogs just not engage the females at all.
We've had that a couple of times. It's just exposure at that point. Is especially when they start screaming and screeching. Like the dog, even an experienced dog might go hit, and then she starts screeching. He goes, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
right. I mean, I guess it just depends on the dog because we've had dogs bite women on the street for whatever purpose, but. For some reason, some dogs, when it just happens, they're like, "Oh my God, what the hell's going on?" Or they just look at him as non-threatening.
Yeah, we try to get the girls to baby talk them.
Yeah,
while they're supposed to be punching them. And sometimes they can talk that dog into stopping. Like,
dude,
I
Billy,
like you.
Yeah, Billy has the best story about Billy from Colorado. He's been on the podcast with Brian from Hits. He deployed a dog, and they were biting a woman. And they were trying to prevent a barricade. She's trying to go in a building. And, and Billy said, okay, fine, Stellan sends a dog. And she heard him. And she's like, yeah, Stellan. And the SWAT commander's like, did she seriously give him the bite command? She's like trying to sweet talk him. And the dog was like, okay.
Experienced dogs, though, it don't work. They're going to crush them.
Yeah. And I mean, it really depends on. I would say the worst luck for a dog's first bite would probably be a female and their first bite.
Yeah,
that'll make everything so much harder.
Passive hiding in a closet.
Yeah, that would make it a lot harder.
The trifecta of shit.
Yeah.
All right, one of the largest conferences in the country, HITS Canine Training Conference. It's America's premier canine training seminar, packed to the brim with the world's best instructors, and me and Eric. All covering important topics. There is no better place to learn and no better place to network with other handlers, breeders, trainers, and vendors. HITS 2023 is being held in Scottsdale, Arizona. I hear they have at the hotel, they have like this super high-end shopping outside, and I think you can go surfing in the desert, which I'm super looking forward to. Anyway, Scottsdale, Arizona, August 15th to the 18th. So hurry up and register now to save a spot and make sure you get a room. We'll see everybody there. Largest law enforcement training conference in the world. Tons of training classes, lots of training topics for everybody and everything. Hours included, and more network opportunities. Be sure to hit up Jeff Barrett at 863-529-5113, hits Canine, letter K number 9.net, and at hits_Canine, and all of your socials.
One of the best relationships we have in this podcast and in this industry is with the great people down at Kinetic Dog Food. The story of Kinetic Performance Dog Food is pretty simple. They wanted to make a better premium dog food for the dogs that need it the most. Their goal is to give every working and sporting dog a higher energy level, better performance, and better overall health through superior nutrition. So they formulated a line of food based on what they considered to be the optimal profile of a performance dog. They've done tons of research on this. This isn't their first rodeo. These guys know what they're doing. If you're a kennel, they will come to your kennel. They will see the problems that you have. They will check out what works for the dogs that you have. They're amazing people to work with. They drop ship a pallet right to you if you want. I know a lot of guys that use them. There's a bunch of different formulas on there, and 32K might not be for your dogs. Maybe the 26K works. They can adjust it. They'll give you the right ideas what to do in different parts of the year. Winter's different than summer. It's really a well-run, good dog food company, kineticdogfood.com. Be sure to check them out on social media too, man. They're amazing folks, kineticdogfood.com. So my entire time that I was a handler or a trainer in law enforcement, the cars at my department and the departments that I trained all had American aluminum accessory kennels in the cars. Different cars, man. Dodge Chargers, all Ford models, some Chevys, SUVs, cars, everything. We loved American aluminum accessories. It's a great product, a great company. They've been serving canine law enforcement community for over 20 years. If you check out their website, that's the letter Z, ezrideronline.com. They got testimonials. They got videos on how to. They got a list of everything they have. Just today, we made a post on the Working Dog Radio social media showing a dog that survived a really bad crash because of the American aluminum kennel in the back of the car. Check them out online, guys. ezrideronline.com. Just let them do their thing, man. Whatever car you got for your patrol car, get a hold of them, American aluminum accessories, and get the best in the business.
Next up comes training courses online from our friends down at Highland Canine Training, Jason and Aaron Perguson. So in the post-Rona world, training budgets have been getting cut. People aren't going to be able to travel, whether it be instructors or they be canine handlers and supervisors going somewhere else for training. So Highland has announced a lot of online training courses. One of those that sticks out to me is their police supervisor canine course. And it's no secret that one of the problems with canine tends to be some of the supervision issues. This course is specifically designed for administrators and covers utilization as well as liability and FLSA issues. The course can be taken at your convenience, and you'll receive a certificate of completion at the end. When you go to Tactical Police Canine Training, that's letter K number 9, training.com, and use the discount code WDR30, you'll get 30% off of that course.
Yeah. So let's move in a little bit to the advanced stuff.
Yeah.
So we've got good agitators, decoys that understand like how to mark stuff correctly. We start moving into muzzle work for the advanced portion of it. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So picture drills and scenario drills, I find there's a little bit of a difference between both. Scenarios is more like 3 guys sitting at a table, the dog's sent in, we get up and we run off. There's a little bit of stimulation. The dog just has to pick one and figure out who to stick with, right? Picture drills is more like us sitting here and just talking like this, and the dog's sent in and we just keep on what we're doing. It's a lot different for the dog. And the goal is for the dog to not question the command. So you'll see a lot of experienced dogs in muzzle fighting. They'll come in and they'll start searching the doors and the closets and, any hiding spot that the person is, just because that's what they've been used to doing, is trying to find someone, and they ignore us talking normally. So what picture drills is just a normal situation for us that's abnormal for the dog. And it's not necessarily about biting the wrong person. It's just teaching the dog not to question who I tell you to bite. Right. So you have someone vacuuming a room, and I'm not necessarily sending the dog in to bite a janitor at a high school or in a hotel room or something, but I don't want the dog questioning that. That's on me.
Right.
You know, that's me making the right decisions up until that point, whether I should send the dog in or not. The dog just, if I send you, you just go find someone and you bite them.
Yeah. We do a version of that at HRD. We call it, I just call it the U.S. Marshal Drill. We have two. We have the Amoeba Drill, and then I call it the U.S. Marshal Drill. Or what do we call the one where we fucking run off? Where basically the Amoeba Drill is they chase a dude into a single guy. And Eric got this when he was out working on the West Coast with the SEALs. And the dog enters the room, and all of a sudden there's 2, 3, 4 guys in the room. Yeah. And we give zero shits who he goes after. I don't care. He can go after all of them, or he can go after one. Yeah. And sometimes they'll fixate on one dude. Fine, whatever. And then the other decoys will come in and load him up. Like they'll load him up and fucking send him again. Load him up and send him again, right? And they'll send the handler. And the second one, we do a muzzle check, and we're just kind of standing there talking with the handler. And I say, okay, as soon as you hear me say, get on the ground, send the dog. And it's kind of supposed to mimic that. You know, you don't have the benefit of that predicate command, like, hey, police, stop, you know, you're going to get bit, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And so we're kind of creeping around the corner, like we're trying to sneak up on somebody, and all of a sudden the dude bounces out of a house somebody we're looking for. It's, hey, get the fuck on the ground. And as soon as I say it, he runs, and we send the dog gone. And he has to go from just a kind of like hanging out with everybody to on it and target acquisition and go now. And he's got to engage, no problem. And so it's interesting to watch the gamut of reactions from some of the dogs, because you have dogs that are super experienced, and they look kind of like SpongeBob SquarePants at once. They're like looking around. They're like, what the fuck? What's going on, bro? And then we have some dogs that'll do it, and they just crush it, fucking smoke decoys. And so
I think it's a lot to do with the dog's mentality, really. It's just some dogs, they just don't care. You know, they'll go into a room and they'll just smoke anyone. And then some dogs, they're like, who is a threat right here, you know? And then it's just, I think, temperament and mentality of the dog working. But yeah, you see, like, it's funny. It's just handlers expect their dogs to go in and nuke this guy, and then the dog doesn't, and they're like, oh, he's never done this before. It's like, yeah, he will. It's just the dog needs a little bit of exposure to certain things.
So let's talk about Alabama Canine.
Yep.
Like, what do you guys all offer there, and what's your schedule there kind of look like?
Let's start with schedule. Ricky makes a schedule, so we get. I'm not sure exactly how he schedules the classes, but he just has classes that start certain times, and we have students that come in at certain times. We also sell green dogs, so we have departments from all over come in and test dual and single purpose dogs, and I think we do a pretty good job at picking out right dogs. We try not to, bring those weak dogs from Europe and try to put a makeup on them and just sell them. We do handler courses, single purpose and dual purpose handler courses, instructor courses. My job specifically is when green dogs come in, I'll test them, I'll get them ready, I'll do kind of build up if the dog needs it, and
muzzle conditioning.
I don't do that until the dog's sold. But
is it year round in handler schools? Pretty continuous.
Yeah. It's very rarely we don't have handlers come in. So usually it's one class is halfway or 3/4 of the way done. We got a new class starting, and then
even in the summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Brutal.
That's brutal.
It's super nice in Alabama in the summer.
Oh yeah.
Fucking hot.
Where did you move there from?
New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
I went from really cold winters to really hot summers and
humid
summers.
Like, it's humid where I'm at too, but not like that.
Oh man. You get into a bite suit for like 4 or 5 dogs, you're dying. Yeah. I mean, I go through maybe like 3 liters of water every day.
Yeah,
right. That's important to not overdo the muzzle. Like, let the dog get in there 15, 20 seconds. Get them out. It's 110 outside.
Yeah, 100%. And they don't have the ability to cool off like we do. We usually, just probably back to basics, but we usually have the dogs wear the muzzle throughout the day. So that we don't have muzzle sensitivity, we don't have muzzle happiness. We don't want the dog to be pre-stemmed by the muzzle coming off.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because there was one thing I was kind of thinking about, because how we use muzzles now, how my guys use a lot of muzzles now, especially with dogs that are experienced, that have been on the street for 18 months, 2 years. is running reps for building searches or with backup guys and everything else. And so, and they'll do muzzle work, like occasionally, like if it's too hot to put the suit on. But several of our dogs have already, they bite people. I'm not worried about that, but I don't need them biting SWAT guys. And so, yeah, exactly. I don't like the muzzle desensitized equipment in general. Like, I mean, regardless of whether I'm putting on
An e-collar,
harness, fuck muzzle, whatever it is, like, yeah, I need them to not associate like that with anything else. So, and we use them at the range a lot too. We'll put dogs in the muzzle for when we go shooting. So,
yeah, it just keeps everyone safe, especially if you're just starting a class and the dog's just getting started and you have gunfire going off and the dog's right here and he's going absolutely nuts and you don't know if he's going to fire off on the handler. Putting him in the muzzle is probably the best way to do it. And then, incorporating him into a team is also the safest way.
Although teaching them to wear the muzzle on the same day you're teaching them about gunfire,
also not
not a good idea. No. Don't do that.
Let's see what happens. No.
Don't do that.
Okay, last question, and I just thought of it while we're sitting here. What's your ratio between bite work and muzzle work?
When we first start our class or when we first start a dog, it's usually just bite work. It's just put the dog in on the bite suit, get the guys comfortable. A lot of times these guys don't have experience in bite suits, so I'm teaching agitation course while I'm teaching a handler course. And it's a big thing, just to get them used to and comfortable getting bit by a dog first and then moving to. So I would say beginning stages, bite suit. And if you have control over a dog and bite or on the bite suit, it's easier when you have a muzzle on. It's just there's no equipment, there's no prey stim, and it's just easier to control the dog at the end with muzzle. But ratio, I would say it just varies in the period of the class. So when we first start, it's 100% fully bite suit and concealed sleeve stuff. And then as we get further along in the class, depending on how well the class is, how much the dog need it, it gets to where we're doing 50-50 or 40-60 muzzle work to bite work. So we try to keep it. I mean, 10 weeks is not a long time when you're doing a class, and that's how long our dual class is. So we try to cram everything and just show the handlers everything that we can and show them maintenance work and agitation and muzzle work and all that so they could do it when they go home. And usually, depending from what I understand, departments are different, but a lot of them stick to muzzle stuff more and then they do some bite suit stuff. So it really depends.
I like doing it during classes and sometimes during training groups when I have new handlers, because it lets them focus on handler things and leash handling, line management, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not having to worry about like getting smoked, or I'm not having to worry about the handler making a mistake and allowing the dog to get a decoy that's surprise a decoy. And so it lets us like really focus on that. So if you have a training group that has new guys, or if you're running schools, the muzzle work can definitely let you focus specifically on the handler. We were just talking to Nesbitt a minute ago about problem solving, and we were talking about how sometimes the handler is the problem. So the muzzle.
Normally, what I start off with is I handle all their dogs for the first few days when they come in for class, and the dogs are usually back tied, so I could focus on handling the dog and teaching the agitation. And it works out pretty well. I mean, I've not, knock on wood, I haven't had anyone bit in a while. I had one guy towards the end of class. He made a mistake and got his hand bit, but that was just a mistake on his part.
Yeah,
it happens.
So you won't put your dick.
Yeah, exactly.
I wear gloves for a reason.
So
how do people look up Alabama Canine? Where do they find them at?
I believe online, just a website. alabamacanine.com, I believe is what it is.
There's a schedule and everything on there?
I believe there's contact information. I don't know how much Ricky posts online. He's a very private, like he doesn't want to put
work and everything. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, he's just very worried about the way the climate of the politics is going, so he just keeps things exclusively for police officers. So I think Alabama Canine is
cool. alabamacanine.com.
Letter K number 9.
Yeah. And if you want to see good bite videos, I got a TikTok, jab.canine.
Jab.canine?
Yeah, jab.canine. I just post some funny or good videos on TikTok for now, at least.
Yeah, until we get rid of it. Until the government gets rid of TikTok.
Yeah. The Chinese are going to take it. They're going to take it from us.
Well, thanks for taking some time, man.
I appreciate you guys having me.
A lot going on here. So,
Right on.
all right, we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we love the Perkinsons down in North Carolina at Highland Canine Training. They are great people, great trainers. They got a good business model. They're awesome folks. We've been with them for a long time. They're also super smart, and they understand that a lot of agencies are struggling to have manpower, so they're not sending people away for training. You guys have been there. You know, you put in, denied, lack of manpower. So they've created an online course section of their website, tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com. You get on there under training, the online course. But here's the best thing is they offer a supervisor, canine supervisor course, which we know a lot of police canine supervisors don't get to go to training. They don't know as much as they should. Right here online, the course discusses topics such as proper selection of dogs and handlers, proper deployment, effective allocation and utilization, as well as liability and the FLSA issues, which we know is where all the legal stuff comes from, interdepartmental. The course can be taken at your convenience, and you will receive a certificate of completion at the end. They're offering an amazing discount, guys. 30% off using the discount code WDR30. It's a no-brainer. If you're a police supervisor and you guys have manpower issues and you can't go, get on tacticalpolicecaninetraining.com under the training tab. Get on that supervisor's course, man. I'm telling you, it's a smart decision.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break for just a second and talk about Dogtra, one of our favorite sponsors. Dogtra's been committed for over 20 years to crafting dog training e-collars to perfect and precise fit and finish, intuitive design, and accountable performance. The Dogtra 1900S e-collar is one of my favorites, and it demonstrates what they strive for, an ultimate dog training tool that is durable, dependable, and designed for the most demanding conditions, which I can attest to because I tear stuff up frequently. My favorite is the 1900S Black and the 1900S Hands-Free, which I use all the time. Check it out at dogtra.com. Be sure to use the discount code WDR10 for 10% off any single item over $200. That includes the 1900 and the 1900 Black.
It's no secret that we love Ray Allen Canine Equipment. We use their products every single day. The mission statement says it all: to be a world leader in quality and innovation of professional canine equipment for police, military, Schutzhund, and ring sport, to exceed our customers' expectations and deliver on time every time at a fair price. We full-heartedly believe they've held to that, since it is our go-to one-stop shop for everything canine. Not everything canine alone, guys, dogs in general. If you train dogs, if you have a dog, everything you need for dog or canine, check out Ray Allen Canine Manufacturing, rayallencanine.com. Use the discount code WDR10 for 10% off.
Super excited to have American Aluminum Accessories on board with us here at the podcast. These guys manufacture a wide variety of products, from high-quality cam locker toolboxes to an extensive line of products designed to meet the ever-changing needs of the law enforcement community. Around 1992, due to the demand for safe and secure transport for a local law enforcement agency's canine unit, they introduced the very first in-vehicle Easy Rider canine container. So it was basically what we now call just our inserts. They have continuously grown and expanded the products, catering to the needs and the wants of their valued customers and high-profile clientele, and catering specifically to law enforcement. Over the years, as the needs have changed for law enforcement, they've evolved and expanded the products to include inmate transport systems, the canine training aids, which I use quite a bit of, canine inserts. Every one of my guys has one of those things. And if you're not even have to be in law enforcement, I have several friends that are civilians that work lots of dogs that have the inserts put into their cars too. So if you got one that fits, you can do it. They also do contraband and animal control systems, just to name a few. So be sure to hit them up. The website is Easy Rider Online. So that's the letter E, the letter Z as in zebra, rideronline.com. If you're looking for them on Instagram and Facebook, it's American Aluminum Accessories. Feel free to hit them up there too.
So our first and oldest sponsor that's been with us from the beginning is Arno out at ALM, out there in Las Vegas area. Arno is a great dude. He makes great stuff for police work and sport work, suits, tugs. I'm telling you right now, his tugs are the best in the business. You can't get any better. Multiple colors. I buy boxes of them from him. give them out to everybody. I've got a bite suit from him. Love it. I've had it for a little over 3 years, and it's holding up like a champ. Ted's got a suit that he's had forever from ALM. We wouldn't go anywhere else, man. We love it. Arno is such a good dude. His almk9equipment.com is the website. Get on there. He's got pre-made suits. He can do custom suits based on your measurements. He's got stuff already made up. If you kind of get a kind of generic large size, maybe for everybody, the colors he has, man, is really cool. He can put a lot of stuff on those suits. Check him out, almk9equipment.com, and use the discount code WD Radio for 10% off.
You know, running a kennel is one of those things that I always worry about, is cleanliness and safety of dogs. And it seems like it's an ever-changing issue, being able to house dogs and move things around, everything else. So the guys at Horizon Structure make this as easy as possible. Literally, the only thing you have to do is have water and power hookups, and they deliver it, and you can put dogs in that day. And it comes on a trailer. They just drop it off. You plug it in, put dogs in it, and you're ready to rock. You keep them clean, you keep them safe, you keep them cool in the summer and warm in the wintertime. And it's completely custom. You can go complete mild to wild. I've seen some that were stainless steel all the way from top to bottom on the inside. And then I've seen some for a bulldog breeder that, you know, had smaller gates because those things can't jump. So if you reach out to them, they're sitting there waiting for you to call and help you through the custom design process. They have everything from 2 dog ones up to, I want to say like 18 or 20. It's a lot of, you can put a lot of dogs, indoor, outdoor runs. So anything you've ever dreamed of, they've got it, have done it, or can do it. So they've taken all the guesswork out of building it. Everything is pre-done to your specifications, and it's assembled, dropped off, boom, you're ready to rock. Things are amazing. Rigney has one. We've had him on the show a couple of times. Go check out his Instagram, and you can see he's posted it up there before. Go look Horizon up at Horizon Structures, spelled out. On the internet, it's horizonstructures.com, and you're going to look for the link in there that says commercial dog kennels, or give them a call, 888-447-4337. They'd love to talk to you and get you started on the way.